ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Among Jacob's sons, Yaakov, the third patriarch, we find two figures that are slightly different one from the other. One is Joseph. Joseph is the dreamer. Joseph is the spiritual guy. Joseph is the man that when Pharaoh says, "These are my dreams, interpret them for me." So Joseph says, "I can't interpret them. It's what God will tell me. That's what I'm going to tell you." Joseph always invokes the figure of God. He realizes that he reaches certain stages in life, all because God is guiding this world. He invokes God at all times. He says that to the one that brought the wine before Pharaoh. He also tells him, what God will tell me, that's what I'm going to tell you. On the other hand, Judah is a different type. Judah, according to the father, was like a lion, strong, a leader, a lot of physical strength. Not only that, Judah had certain episodes in his life that weren't very clear. He had relations with his former daughter-in-law, who was a widow from one of his sons. And when this woman is about to be sentenced to die, and she says, the person with whom I had relations gave me the following items as surety, Judah raises his hand and he says, "These things are mine. I was the one that had relations." He assumes responsibility even at times when he makes a mistake. In other words, we see two different types. Joseph is a spiritual person who invokes God at all times. He knows that God guides this world. And Judah is a man that takes things in his own hand. He is responsible. When he makes a mistake, he's going to assume responsibility for what he did. We find that there's a holiday called Hanukkah. What happened in Hanukkah? We rededicated the Beit HaMikdash once again. And there was a tremendous miracle, because when we wanted to light the menorah, we found out that there is only enough oil for one day, and it would take another week to bring new consecrated oil. So a miracle happened, that the oil lasted for a whole week. And this is why in our homes we light a candle every night. One, the first, two, the second, and so on, until 8 candles to commemorate the 8 days that the first candle lasted for those 8 days. But how did we get to the Beit HaMikdash once again? We fought the Hashmonaim. There were guerrilla warfare, according to a prayer that we read on Hanukkah, which doesn't even mention the menorah at all, doesn't mention the miracle of the oil, says that the few were able to overcome the many, that the weak overcame the strong. The Maccabees, the Hashmonaim, fought against the Hellenized Greeks, the Hellenized Syrians, who had adopted the Greek culture. In other words, there were two separate things. One was the rededication of the menorah of the Beit HaMikdash. Another one was the fact that we had to fight for it. Maybe this is represented by Joseph and Judah. You know, Joseph the dreamer, the spiritual man. And on the other hand, we have Judah, who is the man that uses force because he realizes that without force, we can't accomplish things. You know, I have many friends on Facebook. And sometimes people ask me questions on Facebook. And I don't want to answer them because my answers will then go all over the place. And I don't want to go into controversy with anybody. You know, one of the questions was, for instance, when God created man, he says, "Let us make man." So the questioner asked me the following: whom was God addressing when he said, "Let us make man"? There was only God, and he was creating the world. So to whom was he speaking? Let us make man. You know, interesting, you know, when we ask one of these questions about certain expressions in the Torah, our rabbis were very keen. They already anticipated many such a question, you know. They said the following, for instance, you know to whom God was speaking? He was speaking to the angels. The angels were created before. So God said to the angels, "Let us make man." So does God need the help of angels to do something? No, this is just to teach us that you should consult with others. You should try to get other people involved in doing something. Or maybe God was using what is known as the pluralis majestatis. You know, kings speak in the plural. We do, let us, but they mean themselves. Or maybe God was saying something else. He was saying to the man that he was creating, let us make man. You man that I'm creating and I are going to be partners in your creation. You know, you are an incomplete being. I am going to do something, but you will have to do something about it as well. In other words, there is a spiritual ingredient in each and every one of us, but there must be something that we ourselves have to do as well. So maybe Joseph and Judah remind us of that. Joseph about the spiritual ingredient of man, and Judah reminds us that we have to do something ourselves, a concrete action, in order for the picture to be complete.